The whispers of the baobab. In the quiet village of Ngori, the wind always spoke in riddles. It danced through the trees, whistled across thatched rooftops, and sometimes, just sometimes, it carried whispers that weren't meant for human ears. Zina heard them all. She was 17, full of questions and stubborn fire. Her mother said she was born under a restless moon, and maybe that's why she never sat still. Her hands were always busy, grinding grain, fixing baskets, but her eyes, they were always far away. Always dreaming. Zina wanted more than the village could give. She wanted to see the world beyond the mountains, ride in canoes with sails made of clouds, hear songs sung in cities where the buildings touched the sky. But right now, she only wanted her brother back. Tomba had been gone for 5 days. He had walked into the forest after a fight with their uncle and never came home. Some said he was just angry. Others whispered that he had gone looking for the baobab, the tree no one dared to touch. Deciduous tree, the legend of old Nana Kogo. The elders told stories of her at night, while the fire crackled and the moon stared down like a watchful eye. Old Nana Kogo was not born of woman, they said, but of root and shadow. She lived beneath the ancient baobab tree, where the earth opened into the world of spirits. Some said she was a healer. Others, a witch. All agreed, she could speak to the ancestors and bargain with death itself. But her gift came with a cost. She trades in memories, one elder whispered once. She will give you what you want, but take what you never knew you needed. Children were told to avoid the tree. Women tied red strings on their wrists when walking near it. Men offered coins to the roots just to pass safely. And nobody went there after dark. Broken heart Zina's grief. The morning after the 4th day, Zina sat alone by the river, Tomba's necklace clutched in her hand. It was a simple thing, made of bone beads and a tooth he found when they were young. She hadn't cried yet. She was too angry. Angry at the forest. Angry at the silence. Angry at herself. Everyone else had given up. Even Mama, who hadn't eaten in 2 days, simply rocked by the cooking fire and whispered prayers. Zina stood. Her shadow stretched long in the golden light. The necklace hung around her neck now, warm against her chest like it remembered who it belonged to. If the baobab had taken Tomba, maybe it could give him back. Warning the warnings. When she told the elders she was going into the forest, their faces turned to stone. You will not return, said the chief, his voice heavy with sorrow. If you disturb the roots, the spirits will follow you home, muttered old Aunt Luma, whose brother vanished 30 years ago in the same forest. Zina thanked them and left anyway. Her feet knew the path better than her heart did. She walked with a single oil lamp and the beads bouncing gently against her chest. The trees watched her pass. The wind hissed like it disapproved. Still, she walked. The forest grew thicker with every step. Vines hung like arms. The ground pulsed with warmth. Birds stopped singing. It felt like the woods were holding their breath. Deciduous tree, the tree that shouldn't breathe. And then, there it was. The baobab. It rose into the sky like the bones of a giant. Its trunk was wider than a house, its bark thick with carvings, some old, some fresh. Names, shapes, warnings. The roots curled outward like sleeping snakes. Zina stepped closer. The lamp flickered. The air grew colder. A strange scent filled her nose, something sweet, like rotting fruit mixed with flowers. She knelt beside the tree and placed her hand on the bark. It felt warm. Alive. Tomba, she whispered. Are you here? There was no answer. She leaned forward to listen. Nothing. Then, a whisper. Zina. She spun around. No one. Just wind. Zina, the voice came again. From below. She looked down. At the base of the tree, between the roots, something shifted. Moss peeled back. Earth crumbled. A shape emerged, a door. Made of woven vines and old wood, pressed into the soil like it had always been there, just waiting to be seen. Her lamp flickered again, as if afraid. She reached for the handle. The ground trembled. A low hum, like distant thunder, filled the air. The tree creaked. The roots moved slightly, not like plants, but like animals stretching after a long sleep. The door opened by itself. Inside, only darkness. "Zina," the voice came again, louder now. Closer. And the ground began to open. The tree that speaks in tongues. The ground swallowed her whole. Zina didn't scream, there wasn't time. One moment she was standing at the roots of the baobab, and the next, she was falling through soft earth that moved like water and whispered like wind. Then, she stopped. Not with a crash, but with a gentle thump, like landing in the palm of something ancient. She opened her eyes. The chamber around her glowed with a strange blue-green light. The walls were round, curved like the inside of a giant shell, and covered in carvings, thousands of them. Snakes. Trees. Stars. Eyes. Some of the carvings moved when she blinked, just slightly, like they were breathing. Wind circled the chamber even though there were no windows, no doors. The air smelled like smoke and sweet leaves. And in the center of it all sat a woman on a throne of twisted roots. She was still. Too still. Woman made medium dark skin tone, the woman beneath the tree. She wore a robe made of moss and gold thread, and her skin was the color of bark, rough in places but glowing with life beneath. Her silver eyes didn't blink. Her lips were dry, but somehow, smiling. "Nana Kogo," Zina whispered. The woman raised one hand. Her nails looked like thorns. "You come for a soul," she said, her voice dry but musical, like old drums beneath water. "But will you trade your own?" Zina stepped closer, her lamp now dim but steady. "My brother, Tomba. I want to bring him home." "Wanting," said Nana Kogo, "is not the same as deserving." Zina's hands clenched. "He's not dead." "No," the old woman agreed. "But he does not walk among the living either. He stole something from the sacred forest. Something that was not his. The trees do not forget." Zina's voice cracked. "He's just a boy. He didn't know." Nana Kogo leaned forward. "Yet he took. And now he is caught between breaths, in the place where names have no meaning. He walks with shadows that wear his face." Zina's chest tightened. "Can you bring him back?" "I can open the path," Nana said. "But the walking, that is your burden." She reached into her robe and pulled out something that shimmered, a scroll made of scales, fine and smooth, and darker than night. "This is the map," Nana whispered. "It shows the way through the woods no man should walk. But you must go quickly. At dawn, the door between realms will close. And if I get lost, you won't return." Tess took the potion. From a bowl made of bone, Nana Kogo scooped a thick green liquid that glowed like fireflies in moonlight. She held it out. "This will keep the spirits from devouring you. But only for one night. After that, they will know your name." Zina hesitated. "What do I trade?" she asked. Nana Kogo smiled, her teeth strangely sharp. "Something sacred. Something real. A truth you've never told, or a memory you wish you could forget. You may choose. But you will not get it back." Zina thought of the night she let Tomba sneak out. The lie she told Mama. How she had been too tired to follow him, too proud to say she was afraid. "I give you my silence," she whispered. "The silence that let him leave." Nana nodded. "A fair price." Zina drank the potion. It burned, then cooled, like river water down her spine. Her lamp grew brighter. Nana Kogo placed the scroll into her hands. "Go," she said, "before the trees remember you. When in crescent moon the forest that remembers." Zina walked through a tunnel of roots that pulsed like veins. The deeper she went, the more the forest changed. The trees whispered, not in words, but in memories. She saw faces in the back. Heard laughter that wasn't hers. Felt sorrow that didn't belong to her. Then came the visions. A bird with no wings but many eyes watched her from a tree. A goat with a man's voice warned her not to drink from the river. A child made of ash ran past her, giggling, then burst into dust. But she pressed on. The scroll in her hand hummed with heat when she was on the right path. If she stepped wrong, it turned cold. At one point, she passed a tree that wept blood. It called her name. 3 times. She didn't stop. Cyclone the gate of faces. By midnight, she reached a clearing. It was circular, perfect in shape, and surrounded by stones. At the center stood an archway, twisting, alive, made of bone and vine, feathers and teeth. The spirit gate. A being stood before it. Not a person, but not quite a beast either. Its body was tall and thin, its skin like cracked clay. But its face kept changing. A child. A woman. An old man. A snake. A goat. A mask with no eyes. It cycled through them with every blink. "Who seeks passage?" it asked, in a voice that echoed inside Zina's bones. "I do," she said, standing tall though her knees shook. "What do you seek?" "My brother." "What will you give?" "Myself," she said. The creature's eyes turned silver. For a moment, it was Zina's face. "Then cross," it said. "But remember, every step forward leaves something behind." She stepped through. And the wind swallowed her name. The land between shadows. The first thing Zina noticed on the other side of the spirit gate was silence, thick, bright, and almost sticky, like honey poured over her ears. She blinked hard, expecting darkness, but the world ahead shimmered as if carved from glass. She stood in a forest that looked exactly like her own yet completely wrong. Trees reflected themselves backward, branches curved at impossible angles. The moon hung too large, as if a child had drawn it with careless wonder, and its light flowed across the ground in ripples, not straight lines. When Zina lifted her hand, she saw 2 hands, one real, one pale and see-through, moving half a heartbeat late, like a stubborn echo. "This place eats time," she whispered, and her own voice drifted away, stolen mid-sentence by unseen winds. Then it eats memory. The scroll of snake scales no longer glowed, instead it paused faintly, as though fighting sleep. The potion's warmth inside her chest had cooled to a single ember. She gripped Tomba's necklace. "Find him fast," she told herself. "Find him before the ember dies." The boy who forgot his name. In the mirror realm, distance was a trickster. Sometimes paths collapsed into a single stride, sometimes one step stretched into miles. Zina pushed forward anyway, following instinct more than landmarks. Every so often she passed silver pools where faces floated, young, old, stranger, friend. She did not dare look too long. At last she heard laughter, soft, delighted, familiar. "Tomba," she called. The name snapped like dry wood in the quiet. A boy emerged from behind a twisted acacia. Same height, same jaw, but his eyes that once sparked with mischief, now looked blank and curious, as if meeting her for the first time. He wore a crown of reed and carried a wooden flute. "Hello," he said. "Do you play music too?" Zina's heart lurched. "It's me, your sister." He tilted his head. "Sister?" "No, my sister is shy. She herds the moonbirds by the river." "You don't have a sister named Shy," Zina insisted. The boy frowned. For a moment, confusion rippled across his features, but the strange realm closed around him like fog, smoothing doubt, feeding him a new story. Xena realized the truth: the mirror realm is writing his memories as quickly as I try to erase them. The necklace of bone and tooth. She unclasped the necklace and stepped closer. Every movement felt slow, as though she waded through thick water. The tooth pendant gleamed. Do you remember finding this when we were small? She pressed it into his palm. You said it came from a leopard, but Mama said it was only a hyena. Tomba flinched. His fingers trembled. A spark of recognition lit behind his eyes, then flickered. In the trees above, leaves rustled, not in wind, but in warning. Shadows bled together, forming a long coil that slithered along the branches. Xena's breath caught. Abuwa, the forest spirit of stolen things, had awakened. When shadows take shape, a hiss roared through the mirror forest, vibrating in Xena's bones. The trees tilted inward, crowns touching above like conspirators. Bark split to reveal slits of emerald light, eyes watching. Run, she whispered, but her voice fell flat. Sound has weight here, she remembered. Maybe words are too slow. Instead she grabbed Tomba's wrist and bolted. The ground beneath them rippled like shallow water, each footstep sent ringing circles in all directions. Behind, the snake spirit poured from tree to tree, a river of black glass. Its head was the size of a drum, its eyes, green lanterns. No tongue flicked from its mouth, only curling smoke. Tomba stumbled. Xena jerked him upright. Trust me, she begged. But trust was fragile without memory. Storm of whispering leaves. Wind rose, if wind it was. Leaves detached from branches and whirled around them, each leaf whispering a name. Tomba. Xena. Nana Kogo. Voices multiplied, dizzying. Some leaves screamed, others wept. Tomba faltered, clutching his ears. Make it stop. The snake's shadow lunged. Xena pulled her brother onto a crooked path of mirrored stone. Every stone reflected possibilities, some showed them safe in their village, others showed them lost, faceless, wandering forever. She forced her gaze straight ahead. A wall of vines appeared, thick as woven rope. Xena hacked at them with her lamp's iron handle, sparks flying. The vines reknit instantly, laughing in tiny rustling syllables. Desperate, she lifted the necklace again. Tomba. Remember the tooth, remember the river night. The pendant flashed. Light shot down the vines, searing them to ash. For a breath the path cleared. They burst through, stumbling into the edge of the mirror. Open ground. Beyond, a line of silver flame marked the border between realms. On the far side she glimpsed ordinary darkness, blessedly dull. They sprinted, yet each step grew heavier. The realm was trying to glue them in place. Memories peeled from Xena's mind. Her mother's lullaby, the feel of morning dew beneath her fingers, the smell of rain on clay roofs. She clung to one thought: save Tomba. But Tomba slowed, gasping, clutching his chest. Faint green cracks glowed beneath his skin, Abuwa's venom of forgetting. I can't, he rasped. You can, she insisted, bracing him. We'll step together. The snake roared behind them. Its head burst through the vines, eyes blazing. With terrifying grace it coiled, ready to strike. Xena raised the necklace like a shield. The spirit laughed, a sound like shattering mirrors. Suddenly the silver flame parted. A figure stepped through, Nana Kogo, but formed of mist and starlight. The realm bowed away from her. The final bargain. Tomba is dying, Nana said calmly. He carries the realm's poison. Cross the border now and he will perish in hours. Stay, and you will fade with him. Xena's arms shook. There must be a way. The spirit woman's silver eyes softened. There is always a way. But ways have prices. What price? Xena whispered. Your freedom, Nana replied. Remain here in his stead. You will become a guardian between worlds, never fully living, never quite lost. In return, he will walk home whole. Tomba's dazed gaze met hers, confused, pleading. He did not understand, but his fingers clutched hers with instinctive love. Xena's throat burned. Memories kept sliding out of reach, but the oldest one, her brother's laugh on a sunny riverbank, stayed bright. She faced Nana Kogo. If I give myself, she said, voice steady, promise me he will never be called back here again. I swear on root and shadow, Nana answered. A hush fell. Even Abuwa paused, as though respecting the moment. Xena kissed Tomba's forehead. Go home, she murmured. Live enough for us both. Nana raised her hand. Silver roots spiraled from the ground, wrapping gently around Tomba's body. With a silent tug they pulled him across the border, through the flame, into safety. As he vanished, Xena felt her last tie to the ordinary world loosen. The snake spirit lowered its head before her, no longer predator but peer. Wind shifted, the mirror forest exhaled. Nana Kogo placed her palm on Xena's chest. Warmth spread, not human warmth, but the steady glow of starlight trapped in wood. Welcome, child between shadows, she said. Your watch begins. The silver flame sealed shut. In the distance, Tomba's name echoed once, and was gone. The sacrifice under moonlight. The mirror realm fell silent after Tomba vanished. Silver roots still quivered where they had tugged him through the border, but their glow was fading, like embers turning to ash. Xena remained alone with Nana Kogo and the dark snake spirit, Abuwa, whose glass-black coils glimmered among the twisted trees. A single notion beat inside her chest, it is done. He is safe. Yet every heartbeat sounded softer, as though each thump drained a drop of her own music away. One the ritual of unnaming. Moonlight, thin, uncertain, filtered through the mirror forest canopy. Nana Kogo drew a circle in the dust with her staff. Where the tip touched, stars winked up from the ground, tiny but bright. She motioned for Xena to kneel inside. Your brother breathes in the waking world, the spirit woman said. But breath is not life without memory. We must finish the bargain, or the realms will tear. Xena swallowed hard. What must I do? Give me the story of you, the thread that ties every word, Xena, to every ear that ever heard it. When dawn touches this realm, your name will be a ghost. Xena's throat tightened. Names were more than labels, they were keys to doors inside the heart. Without her name, would she recognize her own reflection? Would she even care? Nana Kogo placed a clay bowl before her, filled with water so still it looked like polished obsidian. Speak your name into the water, she instructed. All of it. Every syllable anyone has uttered in love or anger. Do not leave a single sound hiding in your mind. Xena leaned over the bowl. Her voice trembled, no. At once, ripples blossomed across the water, each ripple a memory, her mother laughing while braiding her hair, her father teaching her to fish, Tomba pulling her up a mango tree, the village children chanting her name in a skipping rope song. The water drank every image, darker and deeper with each wave. When the last echo faded, the bowl flashed silver. Nana Kogo sealed it with a lid woven from thorny twigs and whispered a word older than spoken language. The bowl sank into the ground, leaving no mark. You are still here, the spirit woman said softly, touching Xena's brow, but now your name is flying away. It will fade from every tongue by moonset. To the unremembered boy. Far away, yet only a heartbeat across reality, dawn washed in gold over the real forest. Tomba stirred on leaf litter beside the great baobab. He was cold and confused, but otherwise whole, no green cracks on his skin, no weight of borrowed shadows. He sat up slowly. Dew clung to his eyelashes. The first thing he saw was a single oil lamp, long abandoned, its flame long dead. He didn't know whose it was. He couldn't recall why he slept outside or why his shirt smelled faintly of river water and smoke. More disturbingly, a word hovered in his mind, Zina, yet it slipped away each time he reached for it, like trying to grasp mist. He pressed his palms to his temples and grimaced, but the name still would not hold. Eventually he rose, brushed earth from his trousers, and walked toward the village, unsteady yet unharmed. If anyone asked him why he had disappeared for days, he would only shrug, "I must have wandered too far." The elders shook their heads, relieved but bewildered. His mother wept with joy and wrapped him in blankets, never realizing a piece of their family tapestry had been quietly removed. 3 Birth of a Spirit Walker. Back in the mirror realm, Zina felt the instant her name slipped free. It was like exhaling after diving too deep, relief and sorrow knotted together. "Stand," Nana Kogo said. "You are no longer anchored by a single life. Between worlds you shall walk, guiding those who lose their way, if that is what you choose." Abua circled her once, its colossal head lowering until its eye met hers. In the serpent's glossy pupil she saw no reflection, only swirling starlight. The beast hissed, but the sound was less threat now, more a greeting among equals. Then it melted back into shadowed leaves. Nana Kogo wrapped a cloak of moon weave around Zina's shoulders. Threads of daylight flickered through its fabric, faint reminders of the world she had surrendered. "Your first steps are yours alone," Nana said, "but know this, sacrifice is seed. One day it breaks, and something unexpected grows." With that, the old spirit dissolved into motes of light, and the mirror forest sighed shut behind her. For years, or heartbeats, of wandering. Time had no straight lines in the twilight between worlds, it called like fun tendrils, unspooling where it pleased. Some nights Zina crossed a meadow of glass lilies and found herself guiding a lost hunter back to dawn. Other nights she slipped along moonlit riverbanks, plucking drowned names from the water before they sank forever. Fragmented memories drifted through her like distant birds, faces she almost recognized, songs she half remembered but could no longer hum. When sorrow threatened to crush her, she pressed a hand to her cloak, the threads warmed, reminding her she still had purpose. Word spread among spirits and wandering souls, "Seek the girl with no name, she will show the road home." And so they came, ghost children, grief-blinded lovers, warriors who died too angry to rest. Each time she guided one safely out, a faint glow sparked in her chest, small but steady. Yet something was missing, a heartbeat she could call her own. 5 The dying child. One silver night, fog rose high as the treetops. Zina moved carefully, lamp in hand. She had found a new one somewhere between dreams, its flame steady but gentle. A whimper drifted through the haze. She followed it to a hollow where a child lay curled among roots, a little girl, eyes half closed, skin shining with fever. Zina knelt. The child's breaths were shallow. Dark bruises shaped like vines spiraled up her arms. Poisoned, Zina realized. Spirit thorn. Deadly to living children, curable only with moon sap, a nectar that flowers for a heartbeat at true midnight. She pressed her palm to the child's cheek and felt heat like a forge. "Stay," she murmured. "I will fetch what you need." The forest groaned, a warning. Moonsap blossoms bloom high in the night-crowned tree, a giant whose branches float near the clouds. Climbing would eat precious minutes. But Zina no longer measured deeds by minutes, she measured by heartbeats saved. She sprinted. Trees shifted, testing her. She leapt across a crevasse that had never existed before, swung from a vine that sprouted at her knee, scrambled up the living ladder of Nightcrown's bark. As she stretched for a glowing silver flower, the first petal began to close. One motion. She plucked it. The nectar drop quivered in the cup of her palm. Back beside the child, she coaxed the sweet liquid between cracked lips. For a moment nothing happened, then the bruises unfurled, fading like night before sunrise. The girl's breathing deepened. Her lashes fluttered. Zina exhaled, relief washing through her body so sharply she shook. The child's eyes opened, clear, brown, alive. She reached up, tiny fingers brushing Zina's cloak. "Who are you?" she whispered. For the first time in endless wondering, Zina felt the sting of not knowing what to answer. Words tangled on her tongue. Before she could speak, a glow rose from the trees. Nana Kogo stepped into the hollow, her silver gaze proud but measured. 6. The second offer. "You have sown many lights in the dark," the spirit woman said. "Tonight you nurtured one that would have gone out forever. Your cloak burns brighter." Zina glanced down. Indeed, faint gold threads now paused among the silver, a color she hadn't seen since losing her name. Nana continued, "There is a path, steep and thorny, back to the land of breathing hearts. Walk it, and you may earn new life. But the cost remains." "What cost?" Zina asked, voice shaky. "Memory is a river, you stood mid-current and let yours drift away. To rejoin the shore, you must gather fresh water, new memories born of choice, not birth. Guide 7 souls whose names you do not yet know. For each, a memory seed will bloom inside you. When the 7th blossoms, a dawn will call your own name anew, a name of your making, not your losing." Zina's breath caught. Could she truly craft a new self out of service and love? The idea both thrilled and frightened her. "And if I fail?" she asked. "Then you remain spirit walker until stars grow cold," Nana said gently. Zina looked at the child, now sleeping peacefully. 1 soul saved, 6 still in darkness somewhere. She straightened, lifted her lamp, and met Nana Kogo's gaze. "I accept." The spirit woman smiled, an expression as rare and fragile as moon eyes. "Then step forward, child of no name, and let the forest write your next chapter." 7. A cloak of growing light. The fog parted, revealing 7 faint trails branching into the woods, each lit by a single firefly. Zina understood, every trail belonged to a life in peril, every firefly a plea. She wrapped her cloak tighter and set off down the first path, lamp raised, heart steadier than it had been since she spoke her name into dark water. Behind her, the night-crown tree bowed its highest branch, scattering petals that glowed like tiny lanterns, blessing her journey. Somewhere beyond the border of words, a boy named Tomba stirred in restless dreams. He did not remember his sister's face, yet when dawnlight spilled through his window, he found tear tracks on his cheeks and a warmth in his chest that felt like someone whispering, "Live enough for us both." And deep beneath the ancient baobab, roots shifted, recording the promise of a girl who traded everything for love, then dared to earn it back. The moon climbed higher, and the forest listened, the echo that became a legend. Dusk settled over the mirror forest like a silk veil. 6 souls had followed Zina's lantern and found their way back to life or peaceful rest. Her cloak now shimmered with threads of dawn gold, and the 7th trail, drawn in faint silver dust, pointed home. Nana Kogo appeared beside her, quiet as dew. "The final soul is your own," she said. "Return to the place where your heart began. Reclaim it before the first rooster crow, and you may join the breathing world once more." Zina's lamp flickered. Home. The word tasted both sweet and distant. She had not walked her village path since abandoning her name to the dark water. Now she must cross them unseen, like a memory returning to the minds that forgot. On the path of unseen footsteps. Moonlight opened a crack between realms, and Zina stepped through. She felt grass beneath her feet, real, wet, alive. The scent of cooking smoke drifted from distant huts. Tiny frogs sang. Everything was familiar yet sharper, as if the world had been scrubbed clean while she was away. The rules of her test echoed in her mind. Reach the ancient baobab before dawn. Trace a circle of spirit fire and stand within it. If any living tongue speaks the name Zinag before the sun clears the horizon, her body and soul will knit together. If no one speaks, she will fade back between worlds, spirit walker forever. But she must walk invisible. A single glance from mortal eyes would sever the ritual. Xena inhaled, found the hush inside herself, and let the forest bend light around her form. Leaves whispered but did not rustle. Crickets paused mid-chirp, sensing her presence yet failing to see. Across moon-washed fields she moved, past the goat pens and the river dock, skirting every cookfire's glow. Once, her mother stepped out of their hut, eyes sleepy, shawl around her shoulders. Xena froze beneath a thorn tree, heart aching. The woman stared at the night, puzzled, as if sniffing the trace of a forgotten lullaby, then returned inside. The door closed. Xena pressed on. To the circle at the baobab. The baobab rose against the sky like a giant in prayer, branches wide, roots clutching earth. Dew sparkled on its bark. Under the massive trunk a hollow ring waited, exactly where she once begged the tree for her brother's life. She knelt, opened her cloak, and drew 7 coals from its lining, one for each soul she had saved. Placing them in a ring, she whispered the mirror forest word for light. Blue-white flames sprang up, silent and bright as stars. Inside the circle, Xena felt her pulse align with the earth. Each heartbeat sent a ripple across her skin, warmth, then cold, then warmth again, as though her body were trying to remember where it belonged. Far away, the eastern horizon grayed. Someone must speak my name before sunrise. The rule sounded simple, yet only those who remembered her could speak it, and memory of Xena had been erased like chalk from a slate. Wind rustled the tree. A bird shifted above. Time slipped. 3 The dream-driven brother. Miles away, Tomba tossed in troubled sleep. For weeks dreams had haunted him, dreams of a sister whose face blurred like fog, whose laughter made his chest ache. He awoke each dawn with tears on his cheeks and soil on his feet, though he never recalled leaving his mat. Tonight the dream was sharper. A lamp glowed beneath a tree. A voice called his name with urgent love. He woke before midnight, heart pounding, the dream scent of frankincense and dew still in his nose. He rose, pulled on a cloak, and left the hut. His mother did not stir. Barefoot, guided by nothing but that ache inside, he walked toward the baobab. For the hush before the rooster. Xena knelt in the fire ring. Minutes crawled. Her shoulders trembled from holding still, her throat burned with unshed words. Through the flames she saw the village roofs gleam silver. Already the darkest stars had faded. Soon the first rooster would cry. A twig snapped behind her. She dared not turn, any break in concentration would break the spell. A familiar footstep brushed grass. Tomba stepped into view. Though his eyes slid past her, unable to focus on the invisible figure, his gaze snagged on the ring of spirit fire. He halted, breath white in the chill. Why do I know this place? He whispered to himself. Why does my heart race? He took another step. The flames did not burn him, they parted like curtains, remembering the bargain that once spared his life. Now they recognized the other half of that bargain, the soul who had paid. Xena's vision blurred with tears. She wanted to call, "Brother, I am here." But a single sound could shatter the fragile ritual. Tomba knelt. He stared at the ground, where soil bore faint impressions, the pair of knees. He reached out, fingers hovering. An old sensation tugged. Warmth of sibling mischief, nights spent catching glowworms, whispered promises under monsoon roofs. A name fluttered on his tongue, familiar yet foreign. He frowned, tasted it silently, Ze. The syllables felt like keys searching for a locked door. In the east, a red seam split the horizon. A rooster fluttered its wings atop a rooftop, throat bulging. Xena closed her eyes. She breathed once, steady, brave, but grief crushed her chest. I would trade all dawns for one more word from him. The rooster's beak opened. 5 The whisper that shook spirits. Before the rooster crowed, Tomba exhaled a single sound, soft as wind through dry leaves. Xena. The name glowed in the morning hush, a fragile ember that refused to die. The spirit flames roared upward, blazing gold. The rooster's cry strangled mid-note, as if the whole dawn paused to listen. Air cracked like splitting wood. The soil beneath Xena's knees surged with life. Roots uncoiled, wrapping her ankles, nothing binding, only steadying. Light burst from her chest, first blue, then white, then sun gold, as body and soul fused. Invisible no longer, she shone before her brother, hair streaming with fire like halos, skin etched with faint patterns of leaves and starlight. Tomba's eyes widened. Memory flooded him, tearing through the erasing spell, the night she chased him when he first walked, the time she stitched his torn tunic, the promise he made to protect her always. Tears spilled. "Sister," he breathed. Xena reached out. Their hands met through the ring of fire. Heat did not harm, it sang. Above them, the baobab groaned, a sound of ancient delight. Sap bubbled, leaves shimmered silver. Far off, roosters finally crowed, three together. The sky blazed amber. 6 Return of the Dawn Healer. Flames died down to embers. When Xena stepped from the circle, her cloak had become a mantle of woven light. Threads of forest silver and dawn gold intertwined, and where they crossed, faint green symbols pulsed, marks of the 7 souls she had guided. Side by side, she and Tomba walked back toward the village. Every footprint Xena left sprouted a tiny shoot of grass, which faded after a moment but left the soil richer. At the first hut, an old woman rose to fetch water. She saw Xena's glowing figure and gasped, dropping her pot. Water splashed across the dust and shimmered like pearls. The woman fell to her knees, tears flowing, though she did not yet know why reverence filled her heart. Word spread in ripples. Children peeked from doorways, elders hobbled forward, clutching prayer beads. They recognized the shape of the girl who had vanished, though her name still slid from most memories. Yet their spirits bowed, sensing power both gentle and fierce. Xena lifted her hands. Light pooled in her palms. She touched a man's arthritic shoulder, pain melted. She breathed on a sick baby's brow, fever broke. Where her fingers brushed cracked earth, sprouts of millet emerged, green and strong. "Do not fear," she said, voice carrying both wind and water. "I walk between worlds so you may rest in this one." And the villagers believed. 7 The Living Bridge. Seasons passed. People from distant settlements traveled to Ngori seeking the Dawn Healer. They found a young woman who carried a lamp of soft fire and listened more than she spoke. Sometimes she answered in words, sometimes she answered in silence that felt like the hush before rain, full, expectant, kind. She never boasted, never charged coin. Her only price was a promise: those she cured must plant a seed, tree, herb, flower, it mattered not. Soon groves blossomed around the baobab, and birds nested in branches heavy with healing leaves. Children loved her stories. On cool evenings she sat beneath the great tree, telling tales of Mira forest and snakes made of shadow, of choices heavier than mountains and hearts brighter than stars. Her voice turned sorrow into wisdom, fear into wonder. Yet even she could not mend every hurt. When death came naturally, she guided souls to the threshold, whispering directions only they could hear. The grieving families felt a hush of gratitude, knowing their loved ones did not walk the dark alone. 8 A legend takes root. Years trickled by until they felt like moments. Tomba grew tall, married, raised children who clambered up the baobab and shouted with delight under Xena's fond gaze. Though she aged more slowly than others, silver eventually threaded her hair like moonlight caught in ebony. One night, as fireflies blinked and the moon rested low, a circle of children begged for the story of the girl who gave up her name. Xena smiled and began, but let them finish it, each child adding a detail: the glowing circle, the whispered name, the brother with tears, the tree that applauded with its leaves. Their eyes shone, not with fear, but with hope that love could bend fate itself. When they slept, curled like kittens beneath roots, Zina stood at the edge of the clearing. Fog thickened, and from its fold stepped Nana Kogo. The spirit woman's silver eyes warmed. "Your tale echoes far," she said. "Hearts will bring their bargains for as long as fear and love share the same breath." Zina nodded. "I will counsel them gently. Some prices are too dear." Nana tilted her head. "Even so, there will always be one who dares pay. When they come, I will weigh their courage. And you, will you walk beside me, child of dawn?" Zina glanced at the sleeping children, at huts glowing soft with lamplight, at the baobab alive with whispered blessings. "I will watch," she answered. "And I will guide. Between shadow and sunrise, that is what I was forced to do." Nana Kogo's smile was both proud and sad, as old as roots, as young as new shoots. She dissolved into mist that curled like grateful incense around the tree, then drifted skyward among the stars. 9 onward echoes. And so the tale carried on. Each generation retold it, shaping it like wet clay, but the heart remained, a girl who traded her name for love, walked paths no mortal dared, and returned aflame with hope. Travelers still swear that, on certain dawns, you can see a figure of gentle light beneath the baobab, sometimes guiding a weary spirit, sometimes planting a seed, always listening. If you pass respectfully, the grass under your feet will feel softer for days. And if you whisper a name you cherish, the wind might carry it upward, where Nana Kogo waits in patience, forever weighing the dreams and sacrifices of mortal hearts. Because love, once given freely, never dies. It only changes shape, sometimes into legend, sometimes into dawn.